And welcome back to Love Your Food. This week we're doing something a little different. We made Campfire Cobbler. So not too long ago, we went to a campsite. We spent a nice weekend at a campsite and we made cobbler in our cast iron. It takes a little bit of advanced prep. We did a cobbler recipe on the channel a while ago, but this one was done over a campfire. So here's our ingredients. We're going to start off, we've got some flour, some sugar, some baking soda, and some baking powder, a little bit of salt, some cherry pie filling, this is just canned cherry pie filling, and some canned blue plums in light sauce. Now these we did ourselves, so we're going to mix those together for the filling. Now we're just going to mix all of our dry ingredients plus the sugar together in advance. We're basically making cake mix here, so we're just going to put all those dry ingredients together and give them a good stir. And then once you've done that, this is a little bit of prep that you want to do ahead of time, and it'll help you, get things done a little bit nicely at camp. And once this is done, you don't have to worry about it. It's all set, and then you can just pull it all out at camp, and it makes things really, really easy. So we're just going to put this into a zipper top bag, and this will we're just going to bring that with us on our camping trip. It helps to have a canning funnel just to get everything in there. You want to make sure everything's really well labeled as well. You want to try and get everything into the container if you can. And there we go. So there's our cake mix. So this is just going to go on top of our cobbler when we go to cook it. Now for the plums, we're going to actually strain out the syrup, which is really, really rich. It's got amazing plum flavor. Those plums have disintegrated a little bit because we've had them for quite some time. They're still delicious. They're still safe to eat, of course. They're just, they don't look great, but we're going to be cooking them into a cobbler, so it doesn't really matter. So we're going to we're just going to use a zipper top bag here. So we're going to put the cherries in there, and then we're going to make up the rest of the volume of the fruit we want with the plums and the syrup that the plums are in. And once we've got the right amount, we're just going to pop all of that into the bag. And this will go in your cooler. You want to keep this cool while you're out there, and you don't want it to sit for too long. So we did this on the second night that we were out there. It's if you're going to be out there for a week, you don't want to wait until the end to do this. You want this close to the beginning. You want it to stay nice and cold. So there's our cobbler filling. You want to get as much air out of that bag as possible as well. And, give it a little squish around as well. You want to mix those together really, really well. You want to try and make sure you don't get any outside of the bag. Burp the bag. Make sure that you get as much air out as you can. And then that's it as far as getting things ready. You're ready to go. You want to make sure you have some butter, though. So here's our nice cast iron Dutch oven, beautifully seasoned, and we put a little layer of butter in there. We just rubbed it very gently with some butter so that everything wouldn't stick. It also adds a little bit of richness, but mostly so that everything would come out nice and easy. So we're going to drop in the wet ingredients. So all of that mixture with the cherries and the plums, that's going to go in first. And of course, you can do this with peaches. You can do this with whatever you like. Any kind of preserved fruit will work just fine. And then we're just going to sprinkle that cake mix on top. We're not going to mix it in. We're not going to stir it in. We're not going to do anything. We're going to try and even it out a little bit. You want to make sure it's a pretty even layer so that it cooks evenly and mixes in with everything evenly. But we're not going to mix it with the ingredients beneath. Now, it's going to soak up a little bit. Don't worry about that. That's what's bound to happen. Now, we're also going to take one full stick of butter, and we're just going to cut that into little pats, and we're going to put that on top of the cobbler, on top of the dry ingredients here on top. And we're just going to make sure that that's all on top. That's going to, again, add that nice richness. It's going to melt and add a beautiful flavor and really help that the ingredients on top cook a little more evenly and mix in. So put the lid on that, and we're going to put it on our really, really hot coals. It's really hard to tell. I have to apologize. This isn't ideal filming conditions. We don't have our nice lights or anything, so things are a little rough, but it's roughing it. And you want to put coals on both the bottom and the top. So make sure you've got some really nice hot coals to put on top as well as have underneath. And the reason for that is you want some of that top heat. You want it to be like an oven. You want it to be really hot both from the beneath and from on top on there. So we let that go for some time, and then we took the coals off the top. We just wanted to see about where we were. So we're going to put that on just some firewood here, just to keep it off the ground. And we're going to open that up just to see where we're at. And you can see here, it's not quite cooked. There's still some areas of completely uncooked, unmixed flour that haven't mixed in and haven't become part of that cake yet at all. So we're just going to rearrange our fire a little bit, make sure that it's still nice and hot. Now this is a lot easier if you have briquettes, and you can sort of measure how many briquettes you have, and it makes things a little easier because it's a little more even. But for this, we didn't have briquettes, so we're using coals, which is, it's a little hit and miss. You have to do a little bit of guesswork. You do want to keep that heat on top, and you do want to keep that nice hot fire underneath. Now here we've waited a little bit longer. We've got all the coals off the top, and there you go. So everything is mixed in, everything's cooked in there. So we figured this was about done, and that will carry over a little bit as well. Now once it was nice and cool, it was easy to handle. It was time to serve, and this was after dinner. We'd already had our food. We made some, amazing campfire food. We did some kebabs. We did some sausages, all that sort of thing that you normally do at a camp out. And then it was time for cobbler, and we had this beautiful, fresh baked dessert. It was fantastic. It looks a little messy. We're out in the woods. It doesn't really matter how it looks. We brought a little, can of spray whipped cream. It was delicious. It was really, really fantastic. And that's it. Really, really good. Cooking times, really rough on these because it's going to depend on how hot your fire is. It's going to depend on what kind of coals you're using. But we hope you'll give this one a try if you're doing some summer fun out in a campsite this summer. Really delicious and a lot of fun as well for all your co-campers. If you like this recipe, please do like and subscribe. And if you have any recipes you'd like to see Chef Caleb try on the channel, please let us know in the comments below. Thanks again to all of our patrons. I'll put a link below to our Patreon. And remember to love your food.